first time that I did it, I was really angry with Brian, and I really, in my other relationships, I had diarrhea of the mouth. I would just say whatever the heck I was thinking in my emotions. And when I was angry that day, I went out and I said, hon, I'm going to go for a walk, because I literally couldn't talk. I was so upset. And I started walking. And as I was walking, I started thinking about all the things I loved about Brian. And it made me calm down immensely. It made me feel like, oh, I do. I love all of these things. And this is one behavior. This is not a character flaw. This is something that was a behavior. He didn't mean to hurt me.
Right.
And then you come back, and now I'm a little calmer, of course, and also coming from a place of gratitude, where I'm grateful to be in relationship with Brian, instead of, attacking. And like I said, we could really hurt our partners by our actions and our words.
I would traditionally, and again, I'm not a finished product by any means, I would deal with things in one of two ways: silently or loudly. So I would either just shut down, I'm not even going to say a word for a long, long time, or I'm just going to turn this into yelling. I didn't know how to deal with them calmly, rationally, logically, caringly, in the ways that they should. And that middle ground is where the answers are.
Absolutely.
And that happens to a lot of us. We either explode or we implode and go into ourselves. And this like, okay, let's figure this out together. And it's not me against you. It's like, what happened here? That's obviously, we say this like, oh, it's easy. It's the hardest thing to do.
It is
because we're not necessarily, we're wired to be defensive.
Of course.
To strike back. I mean, we are animals. And it's not like, oh, let's just write a piece of paper and see. It's not the way that they... it's not TV therapy, and it's a challenge. And the advantage of being in past relationships, I think, that ones that didn't work out or ones that ended badly, is you do have the time to be a little more introspective and look back, what was my part in this? And figure out things that you can do different, or that you might change, or that can help you avoid these potholes in this path that you want to be on.
Yeah, but some people never take ownership of what they do.
No.
And those people, they'll be married 8 times. Those are the kind of people that just, they want that, passionate, happy time. And then when that's over, boom, I'm out of here and go to the next. That's not really very healthy.
Right.
And it's certainly not where I want to be in my relationship. Brian collapses. In the beginning, he didn't talk to me for like 3 days if he was angry. And I would be like walking around the house going, oh, I can't believe that I have to deal with this. Like, it was so hurtful. It was so hurtful. And it was, and one day I walked into his office and I said, look, I didn't do anything that was, so terrible. I'm sorry that you're upset. I want to understand why you're upset, but this can never happen again. This is just not acceptable. And he was very quiet, but then that night we started talking, and I said, Hannah, I can't deal with being shut out, because I'm an external processor and Brian is an internal processor. He processes everything inward, and I'm, very outgoing, and my arms are going around, and that's just our differences. But we learned to come to that place because we went actually for therapy. And it's so good to have a person that is for you. A lot of therapists, they're, oh, yeah, you did this wrong, you did that wrong, and they kind of rile
and
you
up. You want to win.
Yeah.
You want to win the therapy.
Yes, but yeah, right? And I've been there too. And that doesn't work. Dan, who was our therapist, he was always for us both. And he used to always say, hey, listen, let's figure out how you guys can understand each other. And he would sometimes explain how Brian was thinking, in little waffle compartments, and I'm like spaghetti all over. You hear these analogies, and it really helped us, and we grew.
Yeah. I mean, I went to couples counseling, and I was like, if I can charm her and she secretly wants to date me, then I win.
Yeah.
That's not really the point. Yeah, of therapy. You brought up the fairy tales a lot. And I think everybody, when they talk about the fairy tales, I believe in the fairy tales, they only believed in certain aspects of the fairy tales, meaning they forget about the fairy tales are filled with frogs and witches and evil spells and all. There's a lot of bad and dark in the fairy tales, and everybody just focuses on the prince and the kiss.
Right. Why can't we do that in our relationships? Because there's going to be bad stuff. I mean,
There is.
And we tend to focus on the negative.
The road to the ending of all of the fairy tales is rough.
Yes, it definitely is. There's fighting and there's dragons and there's...
Snow White was in a coma, right?
Oh, my goodness.
Is she the one?
Yeah, that's right. And,
one of them.
And
Sleeping Beauty. And,
also, yeah.
And all of them, Cinderella was scrubbing floors,
Oh.
There was a lot... and she lacked quality footwear. So you got to look at all of it. And you got to look all of it. And the way to believe in anything again is to find what it was that made you believe in it in the first place.
Right.
So if you need to go back to that, like what appealed to me about the fairy tale? Was it the just one guy and girl at the end? Was it the dream of a better way? Was it partnership? And you have to look at what fundamentally did you like, because if you believed in it once, it's still in you to believe in it.
Yes, of course it is. I think we're just innately born with wanting to love and be loved.
Yeah, I think so. I think we are too. I think that's a good point. We want to be loved.
Yeah, but we want to love also.
We want to love. Yeah, we do. But we also have to believe that you have the right to be loved and the right to love. It's like, I am worthy of this, when it's not just their story over there in booth number 2 at the restaurant while I'm sitting at the counter by myself. Like, I have the right to have what they have, and I might not even want what they have when I peel back the layers. I want what I want, and if it didn't happen to me before, there was something that made me believe in it that believes is out there again. It's a big world. There's a lot of people.
And no relationship is the same.
No, and you don't have to be like, I want something better than this. You want something different than this that is going to be better in its own way, and it's just going to have its own ingredients that's going to make. And so you can't constantly, I don't want what they want, or I don't want what I had. You want something new and fresh, and hopefully you've changed enough that whatever you think you liked before, you probably don't anymore. You want something new.
You value different things as you get older too, I think.
I think so too.
Like when you're younger, you're full of hope and,
I mean, it's time and moments. And when you're young, you're like, I got lots of time and there's a million moments.
Right.
And when you share moments and situations and adventures together, as you get a little older, they do become more special, and you do appreciate them more, and the impact, I think, is greater.
Oh, absolutely. And I think time is a big factor. How much time do we really want to spend being miserable? That's what I ask my clients.
That's true too.
How much time do you
the misery clock out?
Yeah.
Look how much time you spend being miserable.
Yeah. Do you want to live your life this way, or do you want to make some small changes?
Yeah.
You don't have to make these big changes right away. You make small.
Make 1 hour a day less miserable.
Yeah.
And then go from there. And then make 1 day a week less miserable.
Yeah.
And then make a week less miserable. These are exercises that everybody's capable of.
Absolutely. There's little things that you can do in your relationship. I mean, simple things like, instead of saying can, you say would.
Oh.
You get like a different response. Like whenever I say to Brian, "Hun, would you take out the garbage?" He's like, "Sure." Mm-hmm. And like, I never told him I was doing that, but I just switched that one word.
Can to would.
Can to would. And then, I mean, what happened?
It's not are you capable.
Yes.
Yeah. Can is about capability.
That's right. And that's, to a man, you do not want to be doing that. Yeah. They're capable of everything.
There's an accusatory inflection.
That's right. And when I used to say, "Can you take out the garbage?" I would also have that little bit of tone, like, "Can you take out the garbage, please?" Like, it's overflowing. I'll do it later. But would is like, "Would you help me?"
Yeah.
And what do men love to do? They love to help.
Yeah.
They love to create a solution.
I need you to do this.
Yes.
Yes. Not you should do this.
Yes.
It's like, you're going to help me. Yeah, we do like that. And there's a bunch of those. I read about in the past that there's simple verbiage changes that subliminally affect the tone of how somebody receives the information.
And even when you're giving it,
Yeah.
when you're saying would,
Yeah.
it feels differently. It feels like, "Oh, honey, would you help me?"
It does. It's sometimes it's like, well, I said it this way. Well, how the other person hear it? and how they interpret it and what was their reacting to it. And these are things that they're simple changes, but they're complicated to rewire your thinking. It's sort of like if learning to say, I'm sorry. And you say, I'm sorry and thank you and please in a certain way. It's a lot different from like, I apologize for you feeling that way. You know, that's not, I'm sorry.
No, that is definitely not, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry I hurt you. Not, I'm sorry you got hurt by that. Like, it's a big difference.
Yeah. I always try to understand why someone's hurt, because we have different backgrounds and different experiences, and you know, we have different triggers from childhood, and I mean, everybody has stuff. Mm-hmm. You just got to figure out what your stuff is and be aware of what your triggers are. Mm-hmm. And also, I think I heard somewhere that like 90% of what happens to you is reflects on what happened to you in the past. Mm-hmm. Like, and then like that 10% is your attitude. Our attitudes in our relationships really can use a little adjustment there.
Yeah, a lot of people think about what outfit they're going to wear to go on a first date. You got to think what mindset you're going to bring into the date.
That's correct.
And you don't spend nearly as much time thinking about that.
No.
And am I going in this positive? Am I going into this resentful? Am I going into this angry or anything? Like, what is my attitude that I'm bringing in? And you have to sort of lead with optimism and leave the baggage at home.
Well, I know a lot of people, when they go on dates, they talk about their exes. They say, oh, yeah, I broke up because of this, and she cheated, and he did this, and all these things. How could you bring that to a date?
Right.
Never, ever, ever did I go on a date where I said anything like that.
Right.
I'm always like, okay, what do you like to do for fun? You know, like upbeat, happy kind of thing.
I agree. It's what you're putting out there is a good part of what you're going to get back. All right. This is your first time on this podcast. Hopefully not the last, but when we have a first-time guest on here, we play something called Worst Date or First Date. So you have to think back before your current happy relationship, sometime in your life that you either had an amazing first date or an absolute terrible date. Your choice.
Okay, well, I have to go with the positive first date.
There we go.
My first date with my husband, Brian. You knew it was going to be him.
Good. I was hoping. I was rooting for him.
We had a great first date, actually. What happened was our friend introduced us. She had been telling, her name's Cheryl. She had been telling us, oh, you know, I got this great guy for you, Michelle. And she would tell him, oh, there's this great girl for you. And we were like, oh, you know, maybe she might not be able to pick someone for us. And we didn't pay too much attention to it. But she kept on me about it. She was like, call him. He told her, have her call me. I was like, I'm not calling him. Like it was like that.
Yeah.
Anyway, to make a long story short, we go on the date. He doesn't show up. And I call my mother. I'm like, Mom, I can't believe it, that this guy is not here. I'm all upset. My mother's like, well, he's a businessman. Maybe he got caught up in a meeting. I said, yeah, but he didn't even call, whatever. She's like, you know, your friend Cheryl would never, you know, introduce you to somebody that was a jerk. So give him the benefit of the doubt. And so I called him. And he didn't even give me a chance to say hello. He said, I'll be there in 5 minutes. And he hung up the phone. So then I'm waiting at the restaurant. It was True Lux here in Meisner Park. Mm-hmm. And I see him come with his car. He comes screeching in, gets out of the car, starts running. He's got a jacket on, nice shoes. He looks really good. And I see the valet saying, hey, buddy, whatever. He takes his keys. He throws it to the valet, fixes himself up. It's all windows. Mm-hmm. And he comes in and he sees me. He comes over. He takes my hand and kisses it and says, I am so sorry. I was on a business call and I totally lost track of time.
Your mother was right.
And my mother was right. So then we're walking to our table and I had on a really pretty black dress. And he said to the lady that was the hostess, he said, would you please get the lady a black napkin? And I was like, oh my goodness, I was so impressed. I was like, he knows that white napkins get lint all over my black dress. So I was like, woo.
Wow.
Yeah, it was really good. And then we sat down at our table and I was like, oh, I don't know if I should have the grouper or if I should have whatever. I don't know what the other thing was. I don't remember. And he says, well, why don't we get both and share? this is our first date. Now I'm a foodie. I love food, and I love the intimacy of eating with someone and sharing. So here I am now on a first date with